yes. Here he is.
Hello.
Here we are live from London, contrary to popular belief. You look like you're
get the
got a
white balance sorted out.
On it. What's with the gloves?
Okay, you'll see in a minute.
Okay, going to tell us about the gloves. We are live from London, despite the fact that my host here looks like Ainsley Harriott and looks like he's live from the Caribbean. Yes, welcome to the show. Welcome one and all. We're good. We're back. We're feeling good. No sign of coronavirus at all in Enfield?
No, we're all good. We're good.
That's very good. Now, unlike the very leader of the Western world, well, at the moment, the leader of the Western world, we do not have coronavirus. Our masks have been on all week, our hands have been washed, and we're keeping the recommended distance of 2 meters away from each other and even from our significant others. It makes sex very interesting. We've got a new sponsor for the show as well.
Yes,
it is called the COVID-19 vaccine. The COVID-19 vaccine. It's our new sponsor, and hopefully will save the planet. It does come, though, I'm reading on the side, a Surgeon General's warning: the COVID-19 vaccine may cause COVID-19. Okay, so yeah, it might have a few side effects. So we're careful about those. This week on the show, we have all the fake news that's fit to print in the news. We've got correspondence in the mailbag. This week, it's an overflowing mailbag, fit to burst. And what would the show be without our weekly competition? This week, we'll look at stars and their cars. I'll name a star, and you'll have to tell us what car features in their movie. So, for example, O.J. Simpson, the star of Naked Gun, would of course drive a Ford Bronco with bloodstains on the back seats. Isn't that right, Simon?
See, this is why I'm wearing gloves, you know?
Do they fit?
They fit. These ones fit. But with OJ, he had a bit of a problem. So.
Why have they got white things on the end? Is this so you can...
So you can use your phone, apparently. But
oh, it's lovely. And they don't leave any fingerprints.
Exactly. That is the reason why I was wearing them. But yes, like OJ, I'll plead the fifth. Your Honour, as any answer will, of course, incriminate me. So yes, we are back. It's the show that likes to tell you how it is from the tough front line of motoring. We are back with a vengeance. We're taking you on a wild ride today through the world of cars and motoring. So strap in, not strap on as I first read on, which is something completely different. Strap in and
pegging later on for you.
Because it's going to get hairy. It just gets worse. This week, more weird and wonderful roads around the world and lost highways. And as mentioned by Rich, we'll be answering questions from a viewer or from the viewers in the mailbag. And we have a corker of a classic car this week in the classic car selection. As featured on last week's show, it's this car. It's the E31 BMW 8 Series.
Nice.
Ooh. So for all of that and more, stay tuned. I'm Simon Sujuan, and well, it winds from Chicago to LA, more than 2,000 miles all the way. Get your kicks on Route 66.
Yes,
because of course it's Route 66.
Yes, paying tribute to his grandfather there, that Chuck, that's Simon Berry, who can play the guitar almost as well as his grandfather. And yes, this episode of the show is named after the famous road lining the Pacific to the Atlantic and vice versa in America. It is episode 66, pretty obvious. I'm Richard Green, and if you ever plan to motor west, just take my way. That's the highway, that's the best. Get your kicks on Route 66. I too am channeling the spirit of the late lamented Chuck Berry, and I shall be filming women having a wee in my restaurant toilet. I'm joking. I shall be. That was a rumor. He never got convicted. I shall be doing a duck walk with my guitar across the studio. And this is Car-Boyz. Time now on the show for my take. It's when I take a look at the world from my own view, which can often be different from the norm, but it will certainly be entertaining. As I've mentioned before, there is no room for dissident discord or complaints from the groundlings. I am the omnipresent ruler of this section within the show. The divine right of kings applies to me. All praise me. This week, I've decided to focus on the Orwellian dystopic nightmare future we're going to be facing in the next 10 years unless common sense prevails. We read in the news this week, the UK are planning to table a new motion to charge motorists for the number of miles they drive in a sort of road pricing scheme. This is because there is a £40 billion, and I did say £billion, shortfall in the road tax or road fund licence left by people converting from petrol cars to electric cars by 2030. the finance minister, or as we call him here in the UK, the chancellor, Rishi Sunak, who's sort of a wet Asian version of Ed Miliband, which makes him soaking wet, is said to be very interested in the idea of a national road pricing system, which would see motorists charged for every mile they drive. He's currently considering its merits. Now, paying to drive on the roads outside your annual road tax license, I think it's called, is not new in the UK. To the Dartford Bridge, you have to pay to cross. M6, the toll road, or I seem to have written here the tool road, which I think was yes.
That was when they were building it.
Yes, it was the tool road. I think it was originally £1. How much is it now to go up the M6?
I asked someone, it is almost £6 now.
That was probably 17 years ago was last time. So yeah, it's around about right. Anyway, congestion charging zone, of course, is central London you pay for. But they want to introduce this across the whole of the UK. Now, the difference is the new scheme would cover the entire country, charge you for every single individual mile. Let me just put it in context. Imagine you've just got your first job, maybe not a great job. You're working in a pub, you live in a village, you've got to drive 5 miles to get to the pub to do your shitty job, which probably doesn't pay you £10 an hour. And you might have to pay £1.50 per mile to get to the pub. Doesn't sound very fair. Well, plans for a national scheme came into prominence in 2004. They tried this. The Transport Secretary at the time, Alistair Darling, who was anything but, suggested a national road pricing scheme under the plans, which involved letting local areas set up pay-as-you-go networks. Drivers would be paid to install a black box in their car. We feel Big Brother coming on. So they could be monitored by electronic tracking via satellite or roadside beacons. And motorists would pay between, this was in 2004, 2p and £1.50 a mile, depending on the time of day and the level of congestion. The scheme was dropped. The proposed scheme was dropped in 2007 after an online petition was signed by 1.8 million people. I think you could probably treble that now. Now, before I become the harbinger of death and tell you that a horrific version of the future is on its way, with the 4 horsemen of the anti-motoring lobby descending on our liberties like a fat kid on a deep pan pizza, hold your horses. To paraphrase Private Fraser from the BBC television show Dad's Army, we are not all doomed, quite the opposite. Currently, we're living under a national lockdown with the coronavirus. Don't worry, the vaccine's here. We're not supposed to be doing anything other than shopping for food or going to work, only when absolutely necessary. Despite this, the kids are still partying at universities. The police seem to be can't seem to stop weekend parties, illegal booze-ups in the local pubs, people gathering for protests in large groups, and horny folks getting off with each other via Tinder. So I am told. I wouldn't know I'm married. If the government isn't able to stop any of that, then most of us are complying with the current coronavirus lockdown. What chance have they got, apart from a cat in hell's chance, of getting us to agree to pay for each mile we drive? We already do this. We pay tax on the fuel. We pay tax on the car purchase. We pay tax on the car maintenance. We pay company car tax, vehicle excise duty, aka road tax. I could go on and on. If any government tried to implement such a law, they would be put on their arse before their feet could hit the floor. A mixed metaphor, but you get what I mean. Aside from this, I've got socks older than the last 2 Tory governments I have. And let me tell you this now, Rishi Sunak will be allowed to be Chancellor for a very small time, and then he'll be gone, and then he'll be saying, Rishi who? Richie who? Government's madcap timetable schemes, all the time, they never come to fruition. They say this, that, whether they're implemented or not, they'll still be around. This is unlikely. By 2020, they will have the same government then that we do now. I live in London, a heavily congested city, lots of different modes of transport. But let me tell you, no one's on the buses, no one's on the tube trains, no one's on the national rail. Everyone is in their cars because it's the safest way to get around and avoid the woo flu. And if anyone tries to take our cars away, I would guarantee blood on the streets. Or maybe you can just buy a car from Calais, France, and you can drive it in the UK. With no MOT, no insurance, no tax. Just remember to learn the phrase, je ne parle pas anglais. Just a thought. Any thoughts from you, Simon? Hang on, I'll just show the electric car thing. You won't be seeing much of that, but there you go. That's apparently what you do. Takes 15 hours to charge that.
So they're basically taxing tax. So
yes.
I understand that if you put one of these little black boxes in your car, you get reduced insurance, which
Well,
of course you pay insurance tax on.
yes. So these are now my niece has one of these, and it's just so it doesn't monitor. It obviously monitors where you go, but it monitors what speed you're doing. So it makes sure you're not physically breaking the law, and it monitors your actions as a driver, and you get reduced insurance. I think that doesn't really apply to me. I'm a bit too old.
But yeah, so the same box will probably then measure how far you're going.
Yes.
Even as it is with MOTs, they take down the mileage of what your MOTs is. It's just, again, we've said it time and time before, it's just to make money.
Yes.
Of course, if you're going to get rid of petrol, which you're taxing, what is it, just under 50% of our petrol we pay in tax, you've got to make that money somehow.
Yes. So they're going to. I mean, now I think since I think it was yesterday that they've officially come up with the idea that by 2030 we'll all be in electric cars. It's just not going to happen. There isn't the electricity there. There isn't the desire to do it. My big thing is lorries. Have you seen an electric lorry recently?
I don't think I have.
The only goods vehicle I can think of that's electric is a milk float. And that's not really going to get your...
not going to get you anywhere fast.
You're not going to be able to get from Bulgaria to England with a load of garlic in the back, are you? That's not going to... in a milk float. It's going to take you like 8 years. So none of this is going to happen. So we might as well just... I think we probably, as a subject, probably drop it from now on. Should we have some news?
Yes, let's have some news.
News! You're worrying me with that glove. I'm not going to bend over, Doctor.
First off, this week in Where's the Extra Socket for the Plug in my car news. It is. We're talking about electric cars. So hundreds of local councils in the UK are failing to install electric car charging points, really, in residential areas in a blow to plans to ban sales of new petrol and diesel vehicles by 2030. Less than 20% of local authorities have introduced on-street charge points, and dozens, including the Transport Secretary's constituency, have no plans to do so. In many cases, plans to install charging points on residential roads have stalled, while town hall officials squabble over who is responsible for managing and maintaining them. Some councils are also exploiting a loophole which allows them to install chargers in town centre car parks using taxpayer-funded grants intended for residential roads. The revelations, which emerged in a Freedom of Information request by the AA, underline serious flaws in the Prime Minister's plan to accelerate the switch to electric cars. A lack of widespread and easy access to on-street chargers is seen as one of the main reasons why people have not switched to electric cars, along with high upfront costs. In some cases, plans have been stalled because of confusion over which branch of local government is responsible for installing MATs in charge points. The AA's president, Edmund King, said a perceived lack of charging points continues to be one of the top 3 reasons why drivers are hesitant to switch to electric vehicles. I don't know about you. We're near where I work.
Yes.
There's a very, very posh road.
Yes.
Which I think you helped someone with their car, a famous TV presenter, when it broke down, possibly. I can't remember. But down that road. I've noticed that they're installing electric points on the lampposts.
Oh.
So they're taking some of the electricity that goes to lamps, the street lights, and you can plug in and charge off that.
Okay.
Which is very odd and very strange.
I think as a friend of mine mentioned the other day, well, it's okay if you've got a house with a driveway. What if you live in a terraced house? You're going to run the cable out your house.
Or
what
a flat.
If you have a flat and you park your car on the road, and because you haven't got a parking space in the apartment, so
you haven't got enough flex anyway to.
You're running like a 400-yard cable out of your, and you go and charge your car up, and of course little oiks will probably come along, unplug your car, and plug it into their car. We know what's going to happen. It's like when I saw the Amazon robots delivering stuff, and I was like, yeah, the estate I used to live on, I can imagine the kids around there'd certainly spin that thing open, get a hammer and
robots
chisel.
on fire.
Yeah,
it'd be just like
little kid on top of the thing going round. So yes, we can all dream. The reality is very different. So yeah, electric car, nowhere to charge it. Genius. Meanwhile, in Stonehenge, where the demons dwell and the banshees live, and they do live well. News. See what I did there?
Yes.
A £1.7 billion plan to build a tunnel diverting traffic away from Stonehenge has this week been given the green light. That's what it's going to look like. The new 2-mile tunnel is planned to be built south of the current A303, which runs within a few hundred metres of the famous UNESCO World Heritage Site in Wiltshire, which is different from the Nabisco biscuit factory in Leicestershire. The controversial plan involves diverting the road into a new dual carriageway tunnel, which will look like this, apparently, an artist's rendering, while the current A303 will remain a route for motorists travelling to and from the southwest, will be turned into a public walkway, which is quite nice. Those behind the scheme hope it will help to tackle congestion in the area, which is often at a standstill during busy weekends and, of course, holidays. It will bring an end to the well-known tradition of, and I know this, I've done a lot of work in the West Country, going down the A303, you've got to get past the pinch point, which is Stonehenge, because it goes to one lane and everybody slows down to look at the Stonehenge Neolithic monument, which can be seen from the current A303. Meanwhile, critics, including druids, green campaigners and archaeologists, have all hit out the project, with one describing it as a complete violation. Stonehenge Alliance, a campaign group which opposes the plans, has gained nearly 60,000 signatures in an online petition. This is, oh, hang on, that's what it's gonna, that's what they're proposing. So you can see where Stonehenge is at the top.
Oh yeah.
And then they're going to build under the ground. And these folk, especially this lass, who yes, is feeling the energy, man, of that big hard rock between her legs.
Almost phallic.
She is. She's getting very excited, man. Can you see it, man? The summer solstice. Yeah. If you've been stuck on this road, you'll know what a complete sod this section of the highway is. The A303 at Stonehenge goes down to one lane, and everybody stops and rubbernecks out of the window to see the banshees live, and they do live well. And you know the way Stonehenge looks. You know the way Stonehenge looks as well. So this.
Yes.
Right. And this is how we think those Neolithic people from 10,000 years ago put it up. Well, apparently, in the Victorian era, this is just a bunch of rocks lying on the floor. The Victorians thought it'd be a good idea to put that on the top, like a kid building a giant Jenga set. So they're not quite sure that this was originally supposed to be like this. Man, oh yeah, she is feeling the vibes of the earth or something, or I think. I am full agreement with this. The 303s are a pain in the backside. Yeah. I'm sorry, that might sound awful, but and Stonehenge isn't very nice either. Have you been to Stonehenge?
I've not been there. I've driven past it and rubbernecked there.
Yeah.
On my way to Glastonbury. But yes, you're absolutely right. So in that picture, the actual tunnels are going nowhere near Stonehenge, really.
Well, I think the thing they're worried about, so if I show you that one,
yes,
they're going to go under the ground. So before here, about 3 miles before you get to Stonehenge, is an island. So I guess they'll go, it'll be like the Devil's Punch Bowl, which takes you under the South Downs. It's very similar to this. So it'll go nuts. So, and then you'll have these holes in the roof, which obviously hippies will jump down. Hey, man, Stonehenge.
What I like about those pictures also is, although they're artist renderings, there's no traffic on there.
Yeah. What's this? 4 o'clock in the morning? Really?
It's like those pictures you see of 1960 when they're driving down the M1.
Yes, here it is on the M1. It was busy today. I saw 3 cars as I went down in my 1.2 Vauxhall Cresta. But I think the reason they're worried, and they might have a point, is that they're worried that there's still stuff under the ground near here, and they might be disturbing the remains of something that might be of interest. Look, at the end of the day, if you are from Britain, you will know that we conserve absolutely everything in this country. We don't build anything new. You can't just knock down a house and build a new house. Preservation orders, everything has to be planned. And the fact that they've managed to get this done, they've been calling for this for half a century. because it is a pain in the arse when you're trying to get down to the West Country, you're trying to go on holiday to Cornwall. It's a horrible place where it slows down. And I don't actually think it's very good for probably Stonehenge either, because there's an awful lot of fumes. So look, we're going forward. We're going to do it. Let's get it done. I think I'm quite happy to see that happen.
Yeah. If not, they'll just need a giant jet wash to jet wash all the stones.
Yes. Make Jenga.
Someone's just carefully pushing out one of the rocks. And next up in hybrid cars really are the cat's whiskers, according to Thieves News. I know this very well. Thieves of catalytic converters from vehicles parked on streets and in driveways in the UK is on the rise, an insurer has warned this week. Criminals in recent years preyed on exhaust devices as they contained valuable metal parts, including gold, platinum, and they were sold at a premium. Records have shown that thefts declined in the UK when it went to lockdown from March. However, there's been significant rise since June, says insurer Admiral, and it has named 4 cars organised criminals are trying to identify as prime.
Do you recognise these men?
Yes. All the hybrid cars are ripe for thieves, as the catalytic converters contain a higher concentration of precious metals and are generally less corroded. Data shows that the most susceptible hybrid models are the Honda Jazz, the Toyota Prius, the Toyota Urus, and the Lexus RX of all generation and ages. It doesn't discriminate from ages or generations. It calculated that thefts of devices from the underside of cars have risen 6-fold in 2019, with 13,000 reported cases in England and Wales, up from 2,000 the previous year. In an added nasty twist in a BBC investigation, that's not the nasty bit, found that criminals were actively going after vehicles owned by NHS staff because they are parked for prolonged periods during shifts, giving them ample time to remove the devices.
That's quite hardcore.
I know one of our old colleagues.
Yes.
He had the cat nicked off his Toyota Prius. In a place where there's lots of security cameras.
Serves him right for driving a Toyota Prius, but carry on.
But then he is in his 60s now, so that's probably why.
About the right car for your 60s, isn't it?
But he said to me, it literally, he watched a video on YouTube, and in less than 10 seconds, it was possible to remove the cat from these cars, and to replace it was something like £1,500 for the cat, and then another £200 to get a clamp so they can't remove it.
And of course, it's the precious metals. It's the gold, the silver, and the platinum inside the catalytic converter. So, well, times are hard. People are broke, and if you need to break the law in this country, just put on a high-vis vest, and they'll think you're doing something you're supposed to be doing. Finally, in an icon of British motorcycling sets to be reborn news, one of India's top businessmen has reiterated plans to bring back iconic British motorcycle brand BSA. Anand Mahindra, the billionaire chairman of the Mahindra Group, says he hopes to resurrect the legendary mark, which was last produced in the early 1970s. In an interview last week with the Guardian newspaper, he spoke of his plans for BSA to become an electric vehicle maker in the future and to produce motorcycles at a new factory, not in India, but at the brand's original home of Small Heath in Birmingham. Fantastic.
Little India.
Steady, but true. Just like India. Or Leicester, or Bradford. The first production motorcycles will be petrol, but by the end of 2021, he hopes that BSA electric bikes would be ready. There is a classic BSA, I believe, from the 1960s. Anand Mahindra has an estimated wealth of 1.7 billion, according to the Forbes magazine. The UK government has awarded the BSA company 4.6 million in grants to help develop electric bikes, in the hope of creating at least 255 jobs in and around Oxfordshire. The BSA bikes with traditional combustion engines will cost between 5 and 10 grand, The Guardian reported, which I think is very affordable. BSA, which stands for Birmingham Small Arms, was founded in 1861 to manufacture guns. Following the Second World War, the Midlands Munitions Factory became a motorcycle assembly line. In 1948, BSA launched, of course, the legendary Bantam, driven here by Adolf Hitler, which then went on to sell more than 250,000 examples. It also launched the successful models, including this one, I believe, which is the Gold Star. Actually, this might be a Bantam. Apologies. Yes, this is a Bantam as well. In 1951, it bought out rival motorcycle brand Triumph in Coventry, making it the world's largest producer. However, like many UK businesses, it was crippled by the recession at the turn of the 1970s. The last BSA motorcycle was produced in 1973, and Adolf Hitler had from then on to go and ride a Honda Cub. Good news that the brand is back, but like Royal Enfield, who were the arms manufacturer, will the bikes be made in India and assembled in the UK? That is what I imagine will happen, because you can buy a Royal Enfield now, and the Royal Enfield is absolutely beloved in the subcontinent. It is seen as their favourite motorcycle, but in Redditch, I think at the original factory, they assemble them. So if you want a taste of sort of the 1960s motorcycles, you fancy a Royal Enfield, you can get one really, really cheap. I'm talking brand new for like 4 or 5 grand. You won't want to be on it every day, but it is, if you really like that classic motorcycle look. My mate had a Bantam like this at university, and he bought it for a couple $100 and he drove it around the halls of residence drunk once.
Fantastic.
He wasn't at the Hall of Residence for very long, but there you go. So that's good news for British. Finally, some good news on the news. What are we doing next? Is it classic
car?
Classic car selection. Hang on, let me get some music.
Band. Where the band in? Band happy they've been furloughed to next year, which is all good.
Yeah, they're back. They are on limited methadone, heroin, and red wine, though. So they'll be playing some more music later in the show. Their repertoire has increased. They're getting good.
Oh, they're doing some different styles on here.
Yes.
So it's time for the classic car selection. And in last week's quiz, we were stunned to find that you could purchase a BMW E31 8 Series, which looks like this.
Yes, beautiful.
For as little as £15,000. So this week's classic, we delve a little deeper to find out more about this stunning coupe. The first generation 8 Series, there you go. Rich is holding a picture up of it now. Is sometimes thought as being a 6 Series coupe replacement, but actually the cars were aimed at different markets. It was far bigger, it had substantially more performance as well for a start, also making it the world's first production car with a V12 attached to a 6-speed manual gearbox. And if that was all too much, it also had a 4-litre 282 bhp V8 as well. You could have it with. It was a 2-door, which ended up being heavier than was first planned due to its pillarless doors and the coupe shape that it is. Sadly, after being launched at the Geneva Motor Show in 1989, the cars entered the market right in the middle of the 1990 global recession. So since the price of oil rose, plans for high performance M8 versions were dropped. In fact, the 8 only lasted 7 years in the US market, with just over 7,000 cars produced. So those of you that live in America that watch this show, there are 7,000 cars there. Prices started from around $70,000 there, which works out roughly to $137,000 in today's money. Thankfully, production though continued in Europe, where sales were better than America, with some 31,000 cars produced. The top of the range model was the 850 CSI, and it had a 5.5 litre V12, which produced a massive 375 bhp with a 0 to 60 time of 5.9 seconds. It also was quite technologically advanced. It featured 4-wheel steering as well. I don't expect it to return anything respectable on the fuel economy front, with official figures only stating 14 mpg around town.
It's going to make me cry.
Yes. Little tip for you though, the way to visually distinguish the 4-litre V8 from the 5-litre V12 was the exhausts on the back, which were round on the V8 and square on the V12. Being a large and wide Grand Tourer, it feels big on British roads if you're driving it around here. And also, like a GT, it was comfortable and a cruiser on motorways. According to the DVLA records, though, about 1,000 of the 4-litre version remain in the UK, with a good percentage split between the V8 and V12s. So, what do you look for in a car like this? Be careful, as the cars are limited to 155 miles an hour, and some have had their limiters removed. Therefore, you should check that. They were usually well made, so find one that has been properly maintained. and the chances of being hit with unexpected costs reduces. Low price examples will see you pay around £10,000 with another £10,000 to get it up back to a decent standard. Rust is also not an issue on these cars, but check for poor repairs, because most of them, actually not most of them, but some of them did end up in hedges. High mileage vehicles aren't a problem either. Cheap cars go for as low as £10,000 to £11,000, but respectable specs and mileage cars are around £17,000. So last week's show, we had on the quiz, there was a 4-litre version, and that was going for, I've lost where the picture's gone now, that was going for 14,995. So I think these are beautiful coupes.
I had a quick look this week and I saw one
Yes.
for 10.
Ooh.
75 on the clock.
That's
They're an
really good then.
expensive car to drive, but if you've got 10 grand,
Yeah.
that is pretty much a 21st century car for not much money, and you don't see them. I haven't seen one of these for ages. About 25 years ago, when I worked as a car park attendant as a kid, we used to have an optician that used to drive one of these, and we were all like, what the It looked, at the time, in the early 90s, the mid 90s, this looked like a spaceship car.
Yeah.
And it's very, very strange, very, very different. I'd say a proper class, almost like a classic supercar. And I know 350 horsepower is nothing these days.
Yeah.
But back then it was a lot. If you just want a car for the weekend, maybe you commute into work by the train, or you just work from home, you want a nice little car to get around in, go and play golf in, that is the car that's going to get them all talking down the golf club.
It will do. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
Really, really nice car. So yes, if you want to suggest a car for us, I've got our water-stained advert for the show here. Email the Car-Boyz at car-boys@outlook.com. Facebook, we are car-boys at Car-Boys with 4 Zs. Twittering, we're always twittering. We're car-boys at car_boys, always with a Z. Instagram, car_boys with the 3 Zs at the old end there. And we can do the classic car. You can have some suggestions. I believe now, is it time for Lost Highways?
It is time for Lost Highways.
I will cue the band. Come on, chaps. More methadone. Here they go.
There you go.
That actually reminds me, I was watching, I had some time to myself today, which is,
yes,
well, I've been working all week, and I watched the 1971 spaghetti western Fistful of Dynamite with Tiger and James Coburn, and it was fantastically bad, but great. Lots of explosions.
Fantastic.
You also, if you watch that, you'll see where Quentin Tarantino steals all his ideas from.
It is time for the Lost Highways. Hopefully you can still hear me. I don't know whether that's me or Rich that's a bit crackly.
No, I can still hear you.
Yeah, it's all good.
Was it that sound? That's my back.
It's his age. Don't forget, later on in the show we have the mailbag, the quiz, and a whole load more.
Oh yeah.
But now it's our time for our feature, which where the listeners email us in and give us their favourite roads and the reasons why they love them. It could be a quiet coastal road that leads down to the sea. Alternatively, it could be a straight 2-lane blacktop that leads to infinity and invites you to go on the pedal to the metal. Whatever your poison is, let us know. Rich gave us all the details. Yes. He flashed up his details.
I'll flash up the details again.
Yes. Just let us know on Car-Boyz. First up, writing to us this week, it's Becky Biscuits from Sacramento, which I think
this is a document.
Yes, ooh. West Sacramento, California.
Yes, she says every winter she loves to get away to Hawaii, where they have the amazing Saddle Road. The Saddle Road is a 45-mile road with 2 purposes. From a strictly economic purpose, it is the fastest way to cross the island. From the scenic purpose, it's a very different view of the island. Ooh, we've got some Hawaii. I feel like I should have some like flowers, a chain of flowers.
Do they call it a lei or something?
Something like that, yeah.
That's what you're usually hoping for on a Friday night. Right, here you go. A good old lei.
Yes, it's the faster way to cross the country as opposed to the 1119 Circle Island Road. There is a trail that heads along the route to the entrance of Manu'a Kea.
So it's easy for you to say.
The environment has a dramatic change from lava flows to forest to farmlands and the elevation climb and the descent makes for some unique and fun driving. The road itself is maintained wonderfully and you should have no fears driving across it. The only thing to note is that once you start on the main road, at either end, you will not see a restaurant, gas station or public bathroom along the road. So be prepared for a long journey before you head out. It is flanked by the Manua Kia and the Manualoa volcanoes.
I think I know somebody that had the Manua Kia. It was a very reliable, small compact.
No, that was the Kia Pride.
Oh, sorry.
And so it isn't short of breathtaking and naturally chaotic volcanic formations give way to perfect canvas of asphalt and a scenic downhill run to the crystal blue waters of the Pacific. And there you go. It is a beautiful, beautiful road.
I think Hawaii. I've never been to Hawaii. My brother-in-law went there for his honeymoon. I said it was fantastic. She's in Sacramento, which isn't that warm anyway. It's a bit like saying I live somewhere warm and pleasant, and I'm going to go for the winter to somewhere warm and pleasant, which is
very much
a bit selfish, really, isn't it? We live in crappy old England, which is crappy for about 364 days a year with the one day of sunshine. And she goes off to experience this. I'm very, very jealous. I think it's Maui, all the rock stars live. Fleetwood Mac lot all live on there. Yeah, because they loved England so much, they left. Go on.
I guess Sacramento's not, it's sort of away from the coast of California, isn't it?
Yeah, it's still warm. It's all relative. It's all relative. In the land of the midgets, the small man is king. Finally, for the highways, we head to the Emerald Isle. We go to Kilkenny. Hello, Car-Boyz. Stop that. I'm half Irish. I can get away with that. Have a bit more. Oh, Gara. Oh, it's like that around my mum's house every Friday night. Kyle emailed in and said, hello, Car-Boyz. Not all our roads are bad here in Ireland. They used to be. They're not anymore. He says, Dublin is a great place for the old crack. Not for crack, but for the crack. To experience Ireland from its quaint Georgian streets and cosy pubs to its must-see Guinness Brewery at St James Gate. But when you've had your fill of the city life, head down south out of Dublin via Bray. Here you go. Here's some beautiful pictures towards one of Ireland's great roads, the Sally Gap Pass. Using the regional road, the R755, continue to the R759, which climbs steadily upwards and lets you take some truly amazing views of the Wicklow Mountains. The road was the band are full of crack. The road was built by the British Army in 1978. Really? Not the Irish Republican Army then. The pass itself is fairly exposed to the elements.
They took it apart.
They took it apart in 1979. Just one bomb. Right, so yes, road is built. Let's get back to this. The pass itself was fairly exposed to the elements, so check the local weather conditions before you set off. At the crossroads, the top of the pass, turn left onto the old military road, the R115, where the fun ratchets up a notch. Twist your way through the old winding mountains on a little more than a tarmac track, which can offer me a tight squeeze for heading into Wicklow, a pretty market town tucked down to the coastline, and get pissed on the old Guinness. So fantastic. Yay. There you go. And it's hilarious. We've gone from a place where all it does is give you beautiful sunshine,
yes,
to a place where it drives you to the old drink. I once met a guy in a bar. I once met a Swiss hotelier in a bar in Singapore who'd spent 3 years training to work in the hotel industry in the west coast of Ireland. And I said, what do you think of it? And he went, it just rained all the time. Now I know why the Irish are either in church or in the pub. There's nowhere else to go. Everywhere else rains. That, of course, was the Lost Highways. If you want to get your Lost Highway, whatever it is, big or small, the one goes past your house, the one you always love to go to on holiday, email the Car-Boyz at car-boys@outlook.com, Facebook car-boys at Car-Boyz with all the 4 Zs, Twitter at Car-Boyz, car-boys at car_boys, boys always with a Z, and Instagram at car_boys with 3 Zs. Enough of that. Right, welcome return of a feature. You're doing this one. Sorry, Simon.
Am I doing this one? Okay,
yeah, you're doing this one.
Back by popular demand. It is, of course. We had great fun last week's show. It's the turd of the week.
Yeah.
It's where we get viewers to send in pictures of the worst car they've ever seen, and we show it off to the world. Ooh.
Wait for it. It's coming. That is a change of trousers, that final one.
It could be a 1.1 VW Polo with a huge exhaust pipe, dump valves, and a K&N filter, or it could be a 1996 Vauxhall Cavalier covered in rust with its bumper gaffer tape tarred, which I have seen.
Yes.
However, the car you think whatever the car you think it can send a mound of feces to be crowned, you turd of the week. Send us your pitch. Ooh. It's those ones. It's the high pitch ones that are usually funny.
Yeah, it sounds like they get something split. Where are we this week, Simon?
This week we've had something sent in by Eagle-Eyed Dave in Aston, Birmingham last summer. It was a guy who used to work in the building next door to his, and he always noticed how bad it was, or it was always parked. But he also, it was an absolute rotter of a car that should be crowned the turd of the week. Turd of the week. Dave thinks that it's the Proton Satria Neo,
that's it.
1.6
That's it, yeah.
From 2010 from Malaysia. 110 bhp, very slow top speed, 0 to 60 time of 11 seconds. The stripes are from the factory, as you see on the bonnet.
Yes.
And he says it's got a terrible red and black interior, but the owner has added blue undercar neons.
Yes.
Oh, and he reckons dump valves and a racing exhaust because it always sounded horrible. No, it's just the engine probably just forced out. He looks like a drug dealer's. It looks like a drug dealer's car, but reckons the owner is a postman. We give it a 10 out of 10 for making the most of nothing, but 1 out of 10 for the results. So this is the Proton.
Yes.
I'm guessing this was at a time when, was it that Proton bought Lotus?
Nah, this earlier. So Proton bought Lotus for a while, and they allowed Lotus to tune some of their cars in late 90s, early noughties. And then they've sort of gone their separate ways, but people are still with a belief that the Proton brand also has this sporting element. So Lotus are no longer involved with the tuning of their car. These things, I mean, I think this is effectively it's a Mitsubishi Colt underpinnings from about 20 years ago. 0 to 60 in a 1.6 in 11 seconds. Has it got like 12 bags of cement in the back? Why is it so slow? The stripes are dreadful because they stop. You can see they stop just before they stop just before the windscreen, and then which I haven't included, but there are some horrible pictures of the interior. It's not quite a black leather either. It's like grey. It looks
elephant
foul.
hide grey.
I think it should be crowned turd of the week purely for the fact of who the hell has parked that car like that. Look at it.
It's not even in a bay.
No,
all that space. Look how they're parked.
The most amazing thing I think is the fact that the car manufacturers have gone to all this effort to make for no reason, because the person that buys this car doesn't care about cars. Yeah. This has no performance. This is not a fantastic car to drive. It is effectively the polished turd of the week. I don't know why the national anthems come on, but it did. Our sound operator is obviously not being paid enough. We should try and increase his salary. It's time for the mailbag. Should we get some music for that?
Yes.
So we can find something that's appropriate for the mailbag. Here we go.
Dun, dun.
Thank you, band. Back in your hole.
Fantastic. It's of course the time for the mailbag. Keith writes to us from Southwest London and says, "Hello, Car-Boyz. Hope you're doing good." We're doing good. I have a 15-year-old petrol Ford Focus, a good car.
Wonder where that was going there.
But a bit boring, he says. I'm going to get something newer, more sporty, but still a hatchback. I need to get my kids stuff in the boot. And I like to take holiday in Cornwall, so biggish boot space, or boat space as it says here. I'm concerned that
he wants to put a boat in the back.
He might do, yeah, a rubber dinghy.
Yeah, exactly.
He's concerned that the ULEZ, otherwise known as the ULEZ, will be extended out to him. So he needs a car that will be able to go in and out of London. Reliability is also a must. He'd like to get something with a decent badge. What you saying? The Focus badge isn't decent. He has £6,000 British pounds.
6,000 British pounds. Oldie but a goodie. Once you go Jap, you don't go back. If you want something prestigious, Lexus, you don't see too many of these around. This is the Lexus, of course, famous for the 4x4s, large saloons. Back in 2010, they started making this hatchback, the CT400, 1.8 electric hybrid, so it's ULEZ compliant, plenty of space for 4, largest boot. This was a 2011 car, full service history, 2 owners, very good condition, 89k on the clock, which is nothing for a Lexus, which is effectively, it's, as what has Alan Partridge said, it's the Japanese Mercedes. It's bulletproof, just over 6k for that, and probably could, the way things are going at the moment, you could get that for 6k. It's a nice looking car.
Don't see why not.
Any other ideas?
No, Lexus is good. The Jeff Prestige, luxury.
I think the thing is, you also got the reliability, which I think is lacking in both BMW and Mercedes, personally. Yeah, these days. Yeah. Olivia in Malaga says, "Hola, Car-Boyz. I am in search of a small, funky car, to get around town." She's a teacher. She's been in Spain for 2 years. She's English. Okay. Her old she's got a 1994. We've got a picture here of it.
Yes.
A 1994 Seat Marbella she says this is almost gone. Do you think this is almost gone, Simon?
No, I think there's still life in that. That can still... Good for another 10,000 miles.
And then another at least another mile out of that. What should she buy? Well, obviously she's going to get
glasses.
Obviously she's going to get in excess of £5 for this skip. Now, when you say a Fiat Marbella, the Fiat Marbella was effectively the poor man's Fiat Panda.
Yeah.
So it's a Fiat Panda made by lazy Spanish people. I mean, really? That is a terrible car. It doesn't care. Mind you, nobody's going to nick it. I had a Fiat Panda. I never locked the doors. Nobody ever nicked that car. If I left a packet of cigarettes in it, I doubled the price. She's got £2,000 spent. So we had a little look round, and it's surprising what you can get. So I think she said she'd want a slightly bigger engine. So we found the Spanish version of the VW Lupo, which is the Seat Arosa.
Yes.
They made this in the late 90s through to about 2005. You can get one. This one has got the big 1.7 litre Polo engine. 80k on the clock, 80,000 kilometres on the clock. Good service history. This was online on a Spanish website for €2,000. €2,000.
Nice.
No rust on it. Nice colour. You are going to feel, I mean, I know it's, I think this one was a 2001, but compared to this, driving this, this is like the 19th century, and this is bringing you almost into the 21st century. That is a very nice looking car. It looks very clean. Yes, we're thumbs up from the Car-Boyz.
Yeah.
Yes, go and get that.
I think the Marbella can be used as a shed or something like that. That's probably what's better off being. Put some plant pots in it.
Yes, maybe somebody homeless would want to sleep in it, or they might actually say, no, thank you very much, this car is awful. Actually, that's not got too much rust on them. Mind you, it's down in Spain. As I say, if you are going to buy locally in Spain, try and buy a Seat because you're in Spain.
Yeah,
parts are not going to be a problem.
Moving on, we've got Donovan Mellow Yellow 23 says, "Hello, Car-Boyz, from the sunny Isle of Wight. He's a king fisherman at sea and also up the river Yar.
Sorry
on the island. So a bit of course fishing as well. Thanks for telling us that. It's not a dating show, but hey, he wants a decent 4x4 with a large boot that he can take onto the beach, but also down to the riverbank. He's retired, yay, and doesn't need to commute to work, but it would be nice if you can use it to get to the mainland once in a while. Not on a boat, I'm assuming, not drive to the mainland.
Yes, we're not doing aqua cars. We're not doing cars that can go into the water. What was the one that was based on the Triumph? There's one based on the Triumph Herald. I think it was called the aqua car, wasn't it?
I think you're right, yeah. But he wants to get to the mainland once in a while, and he'd like to go on holiday to France. He also needs to be not too much of a banger. He's got £3,000 to spend, and he's replacing his very old 2001 Mondeo estate.
Okay.
So he wants a 4x4. What have you got in mind?
We had a look. How about this one?
Hyundai
Santa Fe, solidly built Korean car. We found 2007 model, 85 on the clock. New cam belt, full service history, very good condition, 4-wheel drive £3,000. You can fit a lot of wine from France in the back of that bugger. And that'll be all right for going down by the fishing banks and so on. It's very, very good condition since it's 13 years old. Alternatively, a bit more class. My cousin's husband has one of these, a Volvo XC70. Now, he's a builder, and he likes it because he can get lots of crap in the back. This is a 2003 version, full service history, leather, all-wheel drive, auto box, 100 on the clock, which is a lot. But the 2.4 diesel engine is reliable, very solid, just under £3,000.
And also, he said he's retired, so I think that's the brand goes with him.
I think that's the one. I mean, to be honest, I know people that have bought these and swear by them. You can't kill them, but you want something a bit nicer to go round. I'll probably go for the Volvo. Finally, we have Stevie Ray, not Tenenbaum. Wow, okay, from New York. Another American who loves British cars. He must be mad. Fan of the Morris Oxford. He's seen one for sale near him, a Morris Oxford. So that's a 60-year-old car. Looks pretty good. What do the Car-Boyz reckon? Just not quite. 1958. So 62-year-old car. Right-hand drive. Very British. Red leather, a dark red leather interior. It looks a little down on its luck. Okay.
I've got a lot of experience with the Morris Oxford.
Have you?
Austin Cambridge.
Okay.
Wolsey had a version as well. I can't remember what it was called. In Mauritius in the 80s, lots of these were used as taxis. Very, very reliable. A bit of spray on there just to keep off the damp, and it always started. Dials by Smith, so they didn't really work. I can remember in the front they had a bench seat that went across the whole of the front as well, which was really good. But they were used as taxis, so yeah. I was
going to mention that. Actually, you've just reminded me that neck of the woods, the Indian Ocean, Sri Lanka. The Tamil Tigers used to cut the steering columns off the Morris Miners and turn them into shotguns.
Really?
When they were fighting the Sri Lankan army. Yes. So Simon said this is a good classic car, and they are, but you need to buy the best. If you're looking at this thing going, it looks down on its luck, then it will be more than down on its luck. These things of this era, their suspension will need oiling on 15 points or something every 1,000 miles. So spend the most money you can, buy the best car. Now, if you're in the UK, I would have some advice for you. And talking of taxes, I would say, why don't you buy an Indian version of the Morris Oxford with a newer Nissan engine, namely the Hindustan Ambassador, which was produced from the 1960s all the way up to the early noughties. I think about 2007 they stopped producing this.
One of the world's best-selling cars.
Yes, of course. Morris sold the machine tools to Hindustan Motors in India. They put the newer Nissan engine inside. You can get a newer car that looks classic, very difficult to buy in the USA. They are on the roads in the UK. If you can find one, buy one. The only other thing I really like about this car, maybe this is me being really sad, when you open up the bonnet on the Hindustan Ambassador, there is a little light inside so you can see what you're doing to the car.
Oh, cool.
Which I think is absolutely genius.
Yes.
Which is very good. Oh, and we had a thank you from Katrina in Nottingham. We were giving her some advice last week on her Honda Civic.
Yeah.
And we said, buy the bulbs, try and do it yourself if you struggle. So she had a rear tail light out and a front side light. She sent us an email. She said, thank you, Car-Boyz, for your advice. I thought I'd give it a go. Rear tail light, she said, was dead easy. Just pulled off the back panel, shoved in a new bulb. She said that was pretty, but she had to go online on YouTube, and there was a guy that explained how to remove the front side light. And she said she bust a couple of nails, but we have saved her 20 quid, which she'll be spending. She's from Nottingham, so it'll be all on gin and Lambrini. So she'll be
spending it on a nail bar once they reopen.
Yes, so that's going to cost her 50 quid. So, things sort of, but I think there is a sense of satisfaction in being able to do something yourself. I would say with the Civic, I think if you've got the main light goes, the main butt beam, it's a case of taking front bumpers off. I'm not entirely sure of that, but anyway, so maybe.
Look on YouTube.
Yeah, the YouTube, the answer to everything. Right, it's time for the quiz!
Yay! It's the extended version.
It's the extended version this week. Come on, boys. Yes, we all love the movies and we all love the stars who drive the cars. But what are the motors they get around with? This week's big quiz is the stars and their cars. Now, today's quiz is plain and simple, not unlike its host. My name is Barry Michael Moore, and I'll be your quiz master and later on pool cleaner. But right now, before we call the police, let's get on with the quiz.
Knew that was coming.
Yes, thank you one and all. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, the premise behind the quiz this week is that our lucky contestant will need to literally name the car which the star drives in the movie. Of course, if we said Steve McQueen, you would of course say, yes, Mark 1 Fiesta. Only joking. If I said Bullet and Steve McQueen, you would know it was a late 1960s Ford Mustang. Our lucky contestant this week is a COVID-free Simon Sujiwan. How are you, Simon?
I'm good. I'm feeling good. Not tired. No cough. I'm good.
Super, smashing, great. And don't forget, if you've got a cough, why don't you try the COVID-19 vaccine? Out now. Surgeon General's warning may cause COVID-19. Super, smashing, great. Up for prize this week, a pair of VIP tickets to the show's very own feature film. Wow.
Fantastic.
Car-Boyz, the motion picture. We don't have a film as yet, but as soon as we've made it, you get a pair of tickets to the premiere. Let's begin. So it's cars and their stars. I'm going to show you I'm going to ask you, and sometimes I may be showing you pictures. So first off, let's start with James Bond 007, the original, who's just passed on, Sean Connery. What was the car that he drove?
I'm guessing he drove the Aston Martin DB5? 4? DB4.
Yay! He's playing golf. He's just about to hit his wife. Don't talk back to me, sweetheart. That's, of course, yes, Sean Connery drove Aston Martin, David Brown for DB4. David Brown, of course, the tractor manufacturer originally up in Birmingham. And what I do like about the fact where I live is our rugby club has a David Brown tractor. So every time the rugby club mows the lawns, I go, look, it's the Aston Martin tractor. Very cool. I'm very sad. Moving on from the 1960s up to the 1970s, Roger Moore, of course, starred in the classic detective series by ATV, The Persuaders. What car did Roger Moore drive in The Persuaders?
Or if I'm not mistaken, it was a sort of browny beigey bile colour.
Yes, bile is right.
Aston Martin, but I can't remember what was Aston Martin Lagonda.
I really want to give you this. I'm going to give you half a point for Aston Martin, but it was the DBS. And there he is many years later. And unfortunately, look, he's always wearing a blazer, Roger Moore, isn't he, with brass buttons. And there's my DBS. Fantastic. Of course, Simon's hero. And you can see the resemblance, can't you?
Yes.
Very much like Roger Moore. Now, I'm staying with the same series. Of course, The Persuaders was a fantastic TV series. A playboy and a con man. They hooked up together in the south of France and they solved crimes.
It was murder. No, wrong program.
And when they met, it was murder. I should have done that one, actually, because there's some cool cars in there. Tony Curtis, of course, was the other star. Now, what car did Tony Curtis drive? Roger Moore had the Aston DBS, and Tony Curtis had the...
It was a Ferrari, but was it a Ferrari Dino?
It was the Dino! Don't say anything else. There's Roger Moore looking at it. How very gauche is that car? Another correct one. The story behind Brett Sinclair, Lord Brett Sinclair, looking at the Dino and going, how very... Is there a gauche American? And I actually have a picture. You'll quite like this. I know you'll like this. There they are. Come on, Tone. Let's go and pick up some totty down in where are they? In Monaco. Lovely.
Yes.
Now, the reason they got Tony Curtis to do the movie is Lou Grade, who was the director of the time of the television company ATV, promised him this car. He said,
really?
Do you want to come to England, make a TV series, get paid, and also walk off with a Dino? And Tony Curtis said, yes, please, I'll take that. Well, staying on British shores this time, The name of the actor was Dennis Waterman. The TV series was called Minder, and he played the role of enforcer to Arthur Daly, Terry McCann.
Yes.
But what car did Terry McCann drive?
Oh, this is a tough one. Because Arthur had a Jaguar. No, he had a Daimler.
Daimler.
But I don't know. Because in the title sequence, it's got Capri. So I'm going to take a guess at Capri. I don't think
It was a white Capri. It was a white Capri with a brown vinyl roof.
Okay.
Yes, there it is. Come on, Arthur. Yes, of course. And Arthur drove the Daimler. And as we say in England, Daimler. Which is different between Daimler, because Daimler got the license to produce Daimlers in the UK in about 1906. Very boring. So Mercedes Daimler are different from Daimler in the UK, which of course we associate with Jags, Royces, and the classic Ferret armoured car. Moving on, over to America now. 1970s, of course, a classic TV series, Smokey and the Bandit, starring Burt Reynolds. Starring Burt Reynolds. Is that better? When you have to say his name, you have to go, you mean Burt Reynolds? Well done, son. And what car did Burt Reynolds drive?
Did he drive? He drove was it called a Firebird? Was it the Pontiac?
The Pontiac Firebird, of course, the Trans Am. There he is. That's not, of course, when he's in Smokey and the Bandit. That was just, I think that was yesterday or something. They dug him up to take that picture.
So his moustache is black, but his hair is grey.
That's what happens when you get old, Simon. Don't question it. I'm not sure all that hair's his own either. The same with his teeth.
He's taken it from his chest.
His hair's about 30 years younger than the rest of him. Look at that. Of course, yes, of course. He in the famous series of movies, Smokey and the Bandit.
You're wearing a cardigan.
I'm not sure. I don't know whether that's a cardigan or no. He's a sports jacket. It's a sports because he's got a little red. Yeah. Of course, the Pontiac Firebird Trans Am seen as one of the last muscle cars, but it wasn't really a muscle car. It was a bit of a damp squib. Moving swiftly on. So well done. Correct. You're doing so far 4.5 out of 10. Thelma and Louise, a famous movie in the 1990s. They drive it, I believe, into the Grand Canyon. From the film of the same name, Thelma and Louise, what did Thelma and Louise drive?
Seen it with Susan Sarandon and Gina Davis.
Gina Davis and Brad and a young Brad Pitt.
Young Brad Pitt. I'm going to take a guess. I'm not 100%
Harvey Keitel
sure.
And Michael Marsden. It's like turning into a movie show.
I'm going to guess at a Ford Thunderbird because that's the only real.
Yes, it was, of course, a blue Ford Thunderbird. Well done, mate. They should never. They should have
colour of my shirt.
Yeah, it is. It nearly matches your shirt. But you would clash very slightly if you drive it. So don't drive it round end. Imagine driving that round Enfield.
The roads aren't big enough.
Yeah, you wouldn't last long. Okay, so well done. So we're on to, is that 5.5 out of 10? I can't remember.
Yes.
Anyway, yes, so far you are winning. Okay, slightly more modern movie, of course, Kill Bill, parts 1 and parts 2. A Quentin Tarantino vehicle, and also well, the main star was Uma Thurman, I believe, who played the bride. But what car did Uma Thurman drive in Kill Bill? I can give you a clue. It's a pickup truck and she stole it.
Ooh.
Think to the early part of the movie.
I'm going to take a guess because I'm a bit distracted by a yellow jumpsuit at the moment.
Yes.
I'm going to go for a Dodge Ram.
I'm going to show it you. I don't think you're going to get this. That's the car, of course, named the Pussy Wagon.
Yeah.
I don't think you'll be able to. Yeah, no. It's heavily modified. I wouldn't even know. It's very American. Chevy Silverado.
Ah, okay.
But what a horrific piece of work. Apparently, Quentin Tarantino still owns this and drives it around Los Angeles, which is quite cool.
Because he likes to be discreet, doesn't he?
Yeah, snorting up lots of things and picking up starlets. Isn't that what they do? I'm not sure. Talking of Harvey Weinstein, another film that was produced by him was, of course, Pulp Fiction, again directed by Quentin Tarantino and starring Harvey Keitel as the cleanup guy, the mob fixer, Winston Wolfe. What car did Winston Wolfe drive in Pulp Fiction. He now does some very awful adverts for Direct Line where he drives a GT86, a Honda GT86. But he drove a Toyota, so I should say GT86. Yeah. He drove a much cooler car in Pulp Fiction. I'll give you a clue. Japanese. Mid-90s. Very cool. Very expensive.
Ooh, no, it's not a Datsun.
3 letters.
Toyota MR2?
No.
No, because that's 2 letters and a number.
The other company.
Toyota, Mazda, Mitsubishi, Honda, NSX.
Yeah, you got there in the end. There he is. There's Winston Wolfe getting into the Honda NSX, which you don't really see. That you literally see him jump in this and drive off. I was at a car show last summer. They had an NSX from 1995. Tiny wheels. Tiny wheels.
And suspension set up by Ayrton Senna.
Really?
On the NS, yeah.
That would be, if I could have one car, then if I was never allowed to buy another car, that would be the car I would have.
Oh.
It would be the NSX. So you go, one last car, I go, okay, I'll take an NSX.
Fantastic.
I think it's a fantastic looking car. Beautiful. Okay, we're nearly there. I don't know. You've got, I think it's 6. Let's just give you 6.5. Okay, so sticking with Quentin Tarantino again. Okay. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was the movie. Yes. In that movie, it featured famous film director Roman Polanski. Yes. And in the movie, he drove a classic British car from 1954 round the Hollywood Hills. Have you seen the film?
I have seen the film on your recommendation.
Good man. Any idea what the car was?
What it was like? British.
Brad Pitt drove the VW Carman Gear. The Carman Gear.
Yes.
But what did Roman Polanski drive? The tiny little windscreen. I can give you a clue.
Yeah.
MG.
GBGT.
No, do you know, I'm not going to give you that. I'm sorry. Okay. If you'd have said TC, I would have given it you, but it was actually the TD. There it is. MG TD from 1954 was the car. Look at those beautiful steels on it.
And there they are inside it as well.
Yeah, and Margot Robbie in there. Now, very interesting. A Malaysian company bought the rights to the TD name a couple of years ago. And I actually thought it had aero screens. It doesn't have aero screens, but never mind. And they are producing this car. They were producing this car in Malaysia, just called the TD, but the running gear on the engine was a Honda Accord.
Fantastic.
How cool is that? Ultimate reliability, because as an MG, that would break down.
Really good film as well.
Fantastic
movie.
Movie.
Haven't seen it,
if you like cars as well, I can't remember what Brad Pitt drives. He drives some big whale of a car. If you like cars from that period, if you like Hollywood from that period, it is really a great film to watch. And as I said, I've just watched Fistful of Dynamite with James Coburn, which is sort of like, that's what he's based the film on when the lead character, Leonardo DiCaprio, goes to Italy and starts making these really cheesy spaghetti westerns actually made in Spain. It's great. In fact, if you get that, so I think it's on ITV4 now. Go and watch it. Fistful of Dynamite.
I'm thinking Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where Jackie Chan's in there as well.
Yes, Jackie Chan is in that movie, and they dent the side of I think a Chevy Malibu. They dent the hell out of it. Great scene. Finally, classic film, British film, 1972, Bless This House. I don't know if you can remember it. It was all filmed up in Windsor. Sid James was in it. And his son was played by the actor Robin Asquith. Ooh. Now, do you remember what car Robin Asquith drove in this film? It kept breaking down.
No, I haven't seen it. I know Robin Asquith. He was in the Confessions of
a Window Cleaner. Yes, this was before that. He made Confessions of a Window Cleaner, Confessions of a Plumber, Confessions of a Milkman, and it didn't work for 40 years after that. But originally, he was in this film, I think, 1972. I can show you a picture, and you can see if you can guess what it is. Okay. It was a hippie version of this car. That was the car from the movie.
So that's Morris Minor.
Yeah, it's a Morris Minor.
Oh, okay.
That's what we're after. Yeah, it's, and he has lots of engine trouble with it. And yes, we've all been there. My first car didn't quite look this bad. If you bear with me a second, I'll show you how bad my first car looked. It should be in here somewhere. Have I got rid of it? Yeah, I've probably thrown it away. No, this is how bad my first car looked. So nobody ever tell me how bad their first car was. I drove round in a Fiat Panda 1 litre fire.
Wow.
I had to put up. Thank you very much, Simon. Yes, you've the crowd are going crazy. You've got, I guess, 7.5 out of 10.
That'll do.
Stars in their cars. You are the winner of the competition, and you walk away with a pair of tickets to Car-Boyz the movie. Whenever Car-Boyz the movie is going to be released, which will probably be dead by the time that gets out. Hopefully, so you can go as a ghost. There you go. Randall and Hopkirk deceased. That's it from the show. Thank you very much. That's it from me, and that's it from him. We'll be back next week with more car stuff. Don't forget to get in touch. The usual details apply. Thank you very much for joining us. We will see you next time on Car-Boyz.